So first, thank you so much for coming on here today. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here and share some of my fitness tips to keep you both fit.
Awesome. We have a lot of incredible questions. So thank you everybody who submitted these questions. I'm excited to hear all of Betsy's answers. So we're going to jump right in. So the first question, is there a specific diet that you think works best for everybody?
You know what? That's a great question because that's what's so trendy are all these diets, the paleo, the keto, and what you have to realize is there's not a one diet for all, and that it's very specific to not only your own DNA, but your own circadian rhythms, your own food preferences, and food sensitivities, which may limit specific foods. But really, it's about your gut microbe and what it requires. And that's the fascinating research in nutrition and what we're learning so much about our gut microbe is that they require certain nutrients and everyone's bodies are very, very different. So these fad diets do not work well for the mass population. They really need to understand their own body. And that's why working with a healthcare professional can really guide them in the best direction to ask the right questions, to learn what foods make them feel good. Because you can tell when you eat something, if it energizes you, or if you eat something you feel really crummy afterwards. I mean, that's your body right there telling you, or your gut telling you this food does or doesn't work for you. So it's very, very specific.
That's so interesting because I feel like I sometimes go on that route where I'm like, okay, I want a quick fix, but I feel like there is
Yeah.
no quick fix. There is no generalized, generic plan that works for everybody. So that's really great hearing you say that. And it's
Yeah.
interesting that you bring up the gut because I've heard a lot
Yeah.
of things and read a lot of information. You can correct me if that I'm wrong. That the gut and your gut health actually affects your mood a lot, your serotonin levels, how you think, how you study, everything.
Yeah, and it's not just the gut, it's actually the microbe. There's more bacteria on our body than actual healthy body endothelial cells that are our body's makeup. So really what they're finding, they call it the gut brain axis, and they really determine that your gut is considered your second brain because your gut actually makes decisions for you. Like your mood can stem from the bacteria in the gut sending the signal up the vagus nerve to the brain, and then the brain responds, and that reaction stemming from your gut. And when they talk about having butterflies in your stomach, that's a real thing. That feeling is originating in the stomach. The nerves are stimulating the bacteria, which send a signal, which then communicates to our brain that we're feeling nervous. So it's fascinating to see all this new research come out, and I'm just hungry for that knowledge. Like, I love learning, and so in fact I've signed back up for school to go back into functional nutrition medicine, and so this is exactly what I'm studying, and it is just fascinating. And they're learning so much, and it's really evolved just in the past 10 years. So it's really kind of new research that we are just there's putting a lot of money into it to do all these studies to really find out that we can heal people through the gut, and we can prevent illnesses through the gut. So you'll be hearing a lot more about taking care of your gut bacteria. And it's funny when people talk about hunger cravings, they're craving certain foods. It's really your bacteria sending a signal that you want to eat that. So if you're craving chocolate, you can blame your gut bacteria for that, not just your mood or your hormones.
That's so interesting. So I, during college, was a nutrition minor. So I got a little taste of what you're talking about right now. It was a little more
Yeah.
generalized, a little more basic. So you talking about all this is making me very excited. And I know I have a lot of questions that people ask, but I now have my own question regarding gut health and just how to keep yourself in the best gut health that you can. Do you have a specific probiotic that you recommend?
And that's what's fascinating too, is there's not a one size fits all. It's really based on your gut microbe. And so some bacteria strains are best at assisting with mood. So they've actually started formulating probiotics for your mood. Some is just for gut transit, some is for anxiety, some of so they can actually identify specific strains and then put together formulas that are best suit the person. But what I'm learning now is that you really need to do I hate to say this, a poop test, a fecal test to actually see what your microbe is like before you start taking a probiotic, because you don't want to take the wrong ones. You want to make sure your gut has a nice balance. We call it a community, and all these bacteria kind of live in little colonies and cultures, and you want to make sure you have the right balance of all the good ones and not the bad ones. And so sometimes taking a probiotic that may not be beneficial for your gut may not be the best thing. So we're learning so much more instead of just a one size fits all probiotic, that it's really customized to your specific microbe.
That's so fascinating. Okay, so I'm definitely going to do
Yeah.
some research about my
Yeah.
body and what it's like and what would be the best fit for me, because I feel like I'm always struggling with a good probiotic. I was in and out of the hospital a lot as a kid, and on a lot of different heavy medications. So I feel like now that I'm an adult and I'm off of those medications and off treatment, I've realized that my stomach and my gut are not
Mhm.
functioning as well as I would like them
Yeah.
to be. And I feel like
Yeah.
because those medications kind of were harsh on my stomach and kind of hurt a lot of those healthy probiotics that were originally there. So I'm constantly trying to look up ways that I can improve my gut health, improve my probiotics. So I'm going to go put in my symptoms, what I want to feel, whether that be like stress or skin, and see what comes up. That's
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Yeah, and if anyone else out there struggles with the same type of issues, because we all have had antibiotics in our life and we all have stress and, even, bouts of alcohol or drink or even eating one meal out at a fast food restaurant like McDonald's or Taco Bell or something like that can actually cause dysbiosis and mess up your microbe. So we are constantly being attacked. And so to really figure it out, if you want those tools, the tests and the websites and whatnot, just DM me and I will give you, the right direction to go to look for those resources. Or if you want help, I can certainly help out. So
Okay, amazing. I will
yeah.
100% be like you. And I think everybody watching who has the same question should DM you, because you're incredible at what you do. You're super knowledgeable. So I'm just so honored to
Thank
be talking
you.
to you today. So our next question, a little different, is how have you been staying active during quarantine, and do you have any suggestions?
Yes. So I have a personal training background, fitness instructor, and I'm actually going for my 200-hour yoga certification right now. So I have all my stuff here I've been going through. I have about a week and a half left, and it's something I've always wanted to do because I love yoga. I've been doing it for about 12 years, and I always dreamed of being a teacher. But because of my career and traveling, and I had a young daughter when I, discovered yoga, I just couldn't spend the time. So the quarantine was like a perfect downshift for me, or I'm like, I'm going to tackle this project. So I've been doing a lot more yoga. I actually have my own yoga studio, so I'm going to swing this around. I converted my den into a yoga studio.
Oh, so
I
cute.
even have aerial silks up
Oh
there. And
my God.
then if you can see this in my mirror here, I have a walking desk treadmill. So I have a little desk with a treadmill. So as I'm watching podcasts or doing learning things or watching a movie, I just turn my little treadmill on and walk. So I've been doing a lot more just walking and listening to educational, because I'm taking this time just to build myself up. If I'm stuck at home, I might as well learn. So that's kind of been walking, and yoga has just been my absolute therapy. And I'm just enjoying and thriving with having those type of opportunities to do while I'm stuck at home.
That's amazing. I have also been doing a lot of walking too. I feel
Hmm.
like during this quarantine, I've realized how blessed we are to be in Florida, to be in Naples, to have the opportunity to go
Yeah.
outside and still safely social distance and, get that vitamin
Yep.
D and that exercise. So I've just been
Hmm.
feeling really, really blessed to be here right now, and excited
Yeah.
to ask you more questions now.
Okay.
So
Good.
our next question is, what sparked your passion for fitness and nutrition?
That's a great one. It was actually around, I was always at, let's just say this, I was always active. I started out in ballet, then I got involved in circus. Yeah, circus. I grew up in a town that had a youth amateur circus. So I had done that for,
Oh my
gosh, since age 7 till I graduated from high school. I did like flying trapeze and all of that. And
Oh my
then I got,
goodness. Wow.
yeah. So then that stimulated an interest in gymnastics. So I got involved in gymnastics when I was around 12, and then I was on the diving team. So I was always very active. And it was around the age of 13. I know I was talking with my mom about what I wanted to do, as an adult in my career. And I'm like, well, I want to do something with the body. And I have a really strong interest in either something like physical therapy or something around nutrition. And my mom kind of looked at me like, nutrition, like not a lot of teenagers think, oh, I want to be a dietitian when I grow up. But I knew early on that food is fuel, and to enhance my performance, I should eat well. So as a teenager, I was making those changes in my diet, trying to strive for healthier food. And back then, they didn't have a lot of nutrition articles, and anything I could get my hands on and read, I would just try to educate myself. And so I knew going into college, I wanted to be a registered dietitian. So I went to Ball State. I did my internship through Purdue University, and I've been practicing nutrition for over 20 years now. Then in that time, I got my personal training certification. And as you can see, I'm still learning and growing as I'm going and getting my yoga certification. So it's been in my genes for a long time and something I'm extremely passionate about.
I think what you said about the circus is so incredible. You do not hear that every day. That is
Right.
amazing. It's probably such a good workout too, thinking about the trapeze and all that
Mm,
stuff.
Absolutely, and I actually have a trapeze hanging on my ceiling in here. I got it from my daughter for a Christmas present. Of course, I enjoy getting on that too. But yeah, it was a very unique community. It was kind of like a summer camp for kids, and so we would spend from March until July practicing all these wonderful circus skills, and then we would give a week-long performance. So at the age of 7, I was performing in front of an audience of hundreds and hundreds of people. But it was such a great life skill because it really taught me at an early age discipline and teamwork and coming together to perform and do something very enjoyable. And we were very much a family. And the circus has been around in Peru for I think they're going on almost like 85, 90 years. It's been there. And it was because Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, Cole Brothers Circus, they would winter quarter when they were done traveling through the summer, and they'd winter quarter in Peru, Indiana, of all places. And so, they'd set up their horses and they'd work on their routines and everything for the next summer. Well, as these trainers started to become older, they retired and they decided to retire in Peru. And they're like, well, what should we do for this community while we're here? And so they started this circus, and it's had a circus heritage for all of this time. Now, with this COVID thing going on, I haven't really heard if they're going to be performing this summer. But what's fascinating being here in Southwest Florida is I'm always seeking out, because there's a lot of circus history here, especially up in Sarasota. And so they have something called the Sailor Circus. If any of you in Southwest Florida have not visited, it's exactly like the circus I grew up in. It's a youth circus that performs, for the public. And so last summer, I signed my daughter up for a week-long camp where she was able to go and learn some of these great circus skills. And you can even go in, they have open sessions where you can go in and just sign up and learn how to fly in the flying trapeze. So if you ever have that urge to see what it feels like, you can go up to Sarasota and sign up for, I think it's like a 3-hour lesson, and it's fantastic. A lot of fun.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm definitely going to look into that because
Yeah.
absolutely love I absolutely love activities like that. I was a figure skater growing up. So
Ah,
it's kind of similar, not exactly like flying in the
yeah.
air on a trapeze, but sort of. So I feel like that'd definitely be something I would be interested in. That is incredible. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
So our very last question is, what is your opinion on cheat meals?
Cheat meals. I hate that it's actually called cheat meals because it really shouldn't be looked upon as something negative. I think balance in everything, every aspect of our life should be important, and balancing our food, balancing our activity and our lifestyles, things that bring us harmony. And I think foods bring people harmony. And yes, granted, some foods may not be as nutritious as others, but that's okay if the majority of your diet is a very healthy foundation. So I call it more the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you have a really functional food-based diet. The other 20% is life. And food should never make you feel guilty. And you should look at it as it could be an experience of pleasure. You just don't want to overindulge. Just like you don't want to take your cash and just spend it all the time. You got to have that balance of spending for things that you enjoy and want, and saving for when you need it. So I look at food the exact same way.
I like that you don't like calling it a cheat meal, because I don't either. I feel like if my body is craving something, I'm going to let it have it. Like you said,
Yep.
as long as it's not all the time, which I feel like
Yeah.
during quarantine, it's been more of like a 60-40, not an 80-20. I'm learning through talking with amazing people like you, and going to get back on track to an 80-20 standard, as we call it. But I think that's a really great way of looking at it, because I don't like calling it cheat meals. Like, you're right, you shouldn't feel guilty about enjoying it, especially if you're enjoying it. I feel like sometimes I take a bite, and if it's not worth it, I'm like, you know what, this isn't good, it's not worth it. But if it's worth it and it's the best thing I've ever had in my life, I am going to eat the entire thing and love every minute of it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gluten-free, so I don't know if you know Seed to Table around here. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And they have the best gluten-free brownie in the world. I don't know what it is, but it tastes like heaven in a little spoon. And I don't get it that often because if I do it, like it won't last an hour in the house.
Yeah.
But if you haven't tried it, it is amazing. It's back behind the counter. You have to ask for it, but it's so good. So good.
I will check that out because I follow a gluten-free diet as well. So
Okay.
it's sometimes hard to find really good ones. And when you do, you treasure it and you savor it and you enjoy every bite.
No, this one is definitely worth all the calories. It is incredible.
Okay.
I remember the first time I had it, because it's decently sized too. It's pretty big. The first time I had it, I took like 10 bites and then I was like, okay, this has to be taken out of the house somewhere or else I'm not going to be able to survive looking at it and knowing it's here because it's that good.
Good. No,
Well,
good
thank
to
you
know.
so much, Betsy, for being here today. I have
You're
loved every
welcome.
minute of it. I've learned so much from you, and I'm definitely going to be DMing you with lots of questions about probiotics and nutrition and wellness and etc. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.